Welcome to NEBProductions, Nebfilms, www.DBNEBMUSIC.com. Please make sure you click like and subscribe. Thank you. Today on NEB Films, I have installed and modified the cold air intake of the Chinese version air intake Snorkel, which you could get from Amazon for just a little over $100 on my 1993 Jeep Cherokee. I'm not going to show you how to cut and install. I'm just showing you what it could look like on the inside of your fender, which will be more secure than the way they initially had told you to install it. If you go up under the car, you could run aground as you hitting bumps on the trail and it could break your pipe. I decided to actually cut through the fender and through the retaining wall of the fender to give more protection to the cold air intake pipe and use PCV, which is more solid within the pipe itself. As we go on in the video, I will just show you what it would look like on the outside versus how it should look on the inside and how I installed it. Let us proceed. Here we have Snorkel to the roof of the car, inside the fender, rubber connection junction, 2 gasket rings. This is the piping that's going into the fender. This is the elbow and the side hole. Come all the way up to about right here, cut it, and then attach this right there and a pipe right up to the filter box. This right here goes to the box. All I gotta do is cut it right here. I got the tape measurement that drops down this part to the box. That's how it look. This is the box. This is going to the out fender right here. That'll go through the elbow. Of course, got to cut this so that it could go in between. And once that connects here, that'll connect right there where I cut it. This is where the actual Snorkel attaches with inside the fender. It uses a 2 3/4 inch hole saw, but the actual piece that goes inside, which I use Milwaukee to make the cut, is 2 1/4 inches in circumference. So a 2 3/4 hole saw will give you a nice snug fit. I used the 3-inch rubber coupler to make it attach to the actual 2-inch side PCV pipe, which runs along the fender inside to the filter box up under the hood. I used taping on the border so I could fictionalize the accuracy of where not to cut. I cut around maybe 3 inches off of this. Then I trimmed down a little bit here, and I trimmed up a little bit in here. This is here. See that? So I cut that right there, and I trimmed down the insides a little bit. You see, if you look at the border here is nice and thick. And then look at this border. You see how I angled my grinder? I angled the grinder so I could get a better fit with this when I put this on. See it even better. I cut about maybe 1 inch off. I created a border. I trimmed that down. I used the grinder and I sanded it down. And I put it on top and I angled it so create a slim down border. What I did on the inside of here, I took the same grinder and just sanded around on the inside a little bit. Enough so that it could create a slant. Just like that. Nice little border. Smooth it down. Fits right in. See that? You don't have to do much cutting. Just fit in so that it can fit where it needs to go. See how that fit in? Just nice, right? Fit nice and right up in there. Nice and solid. Nice and smooth. You can even push down a little bit more so that the hole, once you put the cement on it, it'll hold nice and firm. Finished product. See that? Very little spacing. See that? Whatever you don't get with the spacing, you just fill it with the cement. See, I put it on. It fits on the outside, this piece. You don't want it to extend too much past this border. See, I made sure the female was sticking outside on both the drain, which is this rubber thing right here, and the PVC on the inside. You see that on the inside there. So that's both female. The female's facing outward because it's going to go to a male like that. And this is how it would fit. This is the spout which the curved PCV pipe or right angle PCV pipe will attach to. It will attach to this spout, and this spout will attach to the outside of the box. I will show you later on exactly where I cut the box in order to make this fit appropriately. You might have to shave down the side, the outside of the box, and a little bit at the front of the box to make sure that it fits snug. What I also used was 3 screws in the highlighted area which you see on the right hand side of the screen. That grid right there is the pattern where I put the screws in. I used 3 screws to articulate it to the box and make sure that I shaved that side down of the box so that it could fit snug. Once it was fit to the box and I knew that it was a nice snug fit, I screwed it in with the 3 screws, and then prior to it I added JB Weld up under in that highlighted area to make sure that it will stay attached to the box and will not allow air or water inside that box in that pattern area right there. I screwed it with the 3 screws. And last thing, after it was attached, I used JB Weld on the outside to make sure that I form a nice airtight seal which will not allow air to escape out or water. You will see in the next image how I actually articulated it to the box, infused it with the JB Weld. Afterwards, the red JB Weld heat resistant adhesive on it to make sure it can protect cement that I use to fuse the box together, to make sure that it keeps it from getting overheated and cracking. It's important that you use the red JB Weld on the outside of it to make sure that it doesn't dry up and break loose. It gives heat protection from the engine. I know it's not the best gluing job that could ever be done in the history of piping, but what I wanted to do was make sure I seal off the holes on the inside as well, where the pipe fits in. See how it's nice and loose up in there, and I got it to fit. Inside the pipe, you see I magnified the view so I could show you that I used the JB Weld, and I used it all around to make sure I seal it tightly. You have to carefully seal it to make sure no air escapes or water could get inside. So you have to make sure you seal it properly with the JB Weld. I use JB Weld, the long dry, to make sure that it takes its time and harden properly, formulating a good seal on the inside of the actual PCV that is coming out of the box. You want to take your time and do it properly on the inside and on the outside. A little sloppy because I dripped some, but it's on the inside of the pipe, so ain't gonna really worry about that. It's a JB Weld. You may want to run it under a running faucet to make sure no water leaks out of the sides. Again, this is the frontal view. You can see this piece. This is where this articulates right here. I actually cut this piece off right here. You can see there's borders here. There's a space here, and there's a little side bordering here, and actually on the bottom right there. As you can see, this is what the box looked like when it's in full tact. I actually took this piece and cut it off. Notice the cut may be a little bit rough, and there's some areas where it appears to be sanding. You see in the highlighted area, you may have to sand those portions down or cut some of that portion off or grind it down just to make it fit. On this side right here, you're going to have to sand down that little portion just to make sure the snorkel device attaches properly to the outside prior to screwing and using JB Weld to fuse it. You want a nice tight fit, and to be reassuring of it, sometimes you might have to make adjustments such as sanding or grinding down certain areas to make sure that it's nice and smooth, even, and fitting well. Prior to sealing, you want a nice form seal. Made this for inside the fender. You see, if you look in the inside of the pipe, you will see a little blue. That's the PCV pipe glue and primer. I use regular PCV pipe glue to make sure it can actually stay fit and tight. And then on the outside of it, I use the JB Weld to make sure that it fused. This will go up in the fender on the other side like such. This will be in the fender. This will be inside the hood. This is the cross bridge. This right here, these are 2-inch drains on 2-inch PVC pipes, and I use this as connectors so I don't have to use any type of special glue other than the PCV kind of glue that goes with it. This right here is this right here, and then a 2-inch pipe and a 2-inch pipe, and that'll connect to right here inside the hood. This is coming out of here. This is in the engine hood. This is in the engine hood. It's the cross bridge that takes it to the fender outside the retainer wall, and this is going inside the fender. This is how it will look when it's inside the car. That's drain pipe, 90 angle, PCV, 2-inch, 2-inch piping, 2-inch piping, 90 for the drain, and of course PCV. That's fused in. Just got to spray paint it and that's it. I do want to highlight this area where I use the JB Weld to fuse the actual PCV to the air filter box. The reason why I say this is the only area which you will want to use the JB Weld on is because you want the box and its port to stay uniform together. If you notice that there's a rubber attached right after it, that's in case if you have to work on the box, you can actually separate the box without having to break the weld. None of the other pieces will ever have to use JB Weld because it's actually using the connection cups, which are the black ones that you see, to hold them together. The JB Weld portion should only be applied to the spout coming out of the box. This way, if you do have to work on it, you can separate it. See, what I done was magnified the actual image in the area that you can disconnect. If you notice and see the highlighted area, you can separate your air filter box simply by just disconnecting and unclamping PCV or clamp rings around it. You can loosen it up and just disconnect it and take it apart from there. This is how it will look in the engine. This is the drain. 90 angle PCV, 2-inch PVC pipe, 90 angle PVC, 2-inch PVC, 90 angle PVC. These are drains which are plastic and nylon mixed together and rubber, and they act as a breaker to keep water from getting inside. If I need to take anything apart, this right here just comes apart and I can take the box out. I used the 2-inch rubber coupler to connect the pipes after taking it apart. I used the clamp rings like in this image above, and it's helpful to keep a nice snug fit. It might fit kind of tight or it might be hard to get on. Don't be worried about it. All you have to do is just heat the rubber with a blow dryer and the rubber will become flimsy and you will be able to stretch it to accommodate the pipe fit. Afterwards, you use the clamp ring to keep a nice tight snug fit on the piping. After I apply the JB Weld hardener to attach the spout, so you use the red JB Weld as a heat resistor. In this area is the right angle, which goes vertical. You might have to shorten the height of the actual vertical to maybe 2 inches. Make sure all your screws is covered with the heat resistor. I use self-starting screws to make the puncture and to fasten the actual spout to the box. Now that the bottom half of the air filter box is all put together, let me show you what it looks like under my hood. It's actually in the spot where it's supposed to be. You can see that it fits in nice and tight. You can notice the JB Weld heat resistor on the front, and then later on I sprayed it with enamel spray paint to keep uniformity and hold it in its natural place. I used a 2 3/4 hole saw to cut through my firewall of the fender. I used a 2 3/4 hole saw because it gave you a little bit more room to actually manipulate. Indicated in the marked area, which I magnified with the circle to show you where to cut with the hole saw, just in case you are off a little bit. I would suggest using the 2 3/4. This way you have a nice snug fit, and you can later on spray it with some surrounding filler spray so that it'll actually hold the pipe dimension. I also would like to make a note that it's better to remove the air filter box out to cut from outside in for better accuracy. This is what it looked like when the truck is fully done. Again, when you make that first cut on the outside, which I will magnify for you right now, you will see that first cut is important and is located on the left fender, because on the XJ it's actually on the left side. You want that initial hole to be at least 2 3/4. You want to be able to correct yourself if you made errors instead of just making bigger cuts. You want to be able to just cut right through it and have a little room so that in case you have to manipulate your tubing on the inside. Also want to inform you, when you receive your actual cold air intake snorkel, the cut pattern itself may be slightly inaccurate. You want to make sure you measure out your holes before you do it. My advice to you is that start an inch ahead of your hole where your anticipated cut's supposed to be, because I find the actual hole was a little bit anterior to the front of the car of the actual hole on the print or the cut pattern paper. In the next few images, I just showed you how vertically the pipe would fit in and where to cut exactly the markings, which is about maybe 2.5 inches. This is where the hole would go. You want to go anterior. And if you look at the following image, you will actually see how the ring would fit inside the actual fender panel beyond the firewall. Again, I'm not showing you how to take everything off. I'm just only showing you what the cold air intake could look like if you do it this way, and I find it to be more sturdy and stronger, more secure, and is easier to be able to take apart, whether or not you want to go under the car or through the fender. I prefer through the fender because a lot of times when you bottom out, you can hit that piping on the bottom of the car and it could crack, and it could cause you problems if you're ever in the water. I also want to note, after remounting your air filter box back in, there's 3 holes at the bottom of it. Make sure that you cover those with JB Weld Red, just in case you have to remove them. And when you cover them with JB Weld Red, it will keep moisture from getting inside the box if you run into water. Make sure you click like and subscribe if you like what you see. I will be putting more video updates of my 1993 Jeep Cherokee XJ Jeep on YouTube. Thank you. NEB Production BX, Nebfilmsbx, DBNEBMUSIC.com. Thank you for watching. Please click like and subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you.